top of the bill fight is scheduled for 10 rounds. Here's our commentary team of Jim Watt and Reg Gutteridge.
So then, let's hope that Sammy Meck is going to give Najib Daho some experience here, because he went 10 rounds with Pat Codell Meck in '81 and 6 with Barry McGuigan. But it's his first fight this year, so he's got to do it all from memory. Just might have a little bit of rust there at 33. Old boy knows his way around, and of course Daho's got all the support in the world here, friends and family and supporters. And it's so important for Daho. He's got to look sharp, because Pat Codell, we know, will be looking in at this fight as well, just taking stock of his next opponent on the assumption that he gets over this fella. So he's asking to close his gloves, and he's bowed politely at the referee, so he's trying to get on the referee's side anyway. I've seen Sammy Meck a bit. I saw him fight Jimmy Flint in London when he first started around, and then Barry McGuigan in Ireland. Originally from the Cameroons, and was due to box in the Montreal Olympics, but of course there was an African walkout on that one, and he stopped off in Paris and stayed there to become a professional. Najib Daho, with 47 fights, is not exactly new in this business. He's been in with top fighters, in fact great fighters like Ken Buchanan, to whom he lost. He came in as a substitute actually for that fight. But since he's joined the Jack Trickett camp, he's certainly improved a lot. I imagine he's been training that much harder. Doesn't knock too many people out, Sammy Meck, but he makes it a bit awkward for a lot of them. Minute to go in the opening round, and I think already Jim Daho's realised it's a bit of a slippery customer, the Cameroon gentleman from France.
It's a nice sharp start from Daho, but I think he should have in his mind a lot of rounds before this fight's over, because Meck's a typical old pro. He probably hasn't even started yet. He'll just nurse himself into the fight nice and slowly, and I think he's going to make things a little bit hot for Naj. But Daho just wants to keep nice and tight, keep picking away, build up a points lead, and then maybe later on move in with the big punches. But Meck is a good, durable opponent.
So the countdown in the opening round, and Daho, easy type of opponent to draw into a fight. He can't resist it. So there are the statistics then for Daho, as I said, boxed in really high company. I think his best win is probably against Barry Michael, the Australian, who's now the International Boxing Federation Junior Lightweight Champion. And we thought Jim Watt and I was a bit unlucky to lose to Ian McLeod of Scotland in this ring. Sammy Meck then, would you believe, lost 25 fights, but then you would say, oh dear, you know, can he fight? But believe me, when you see the quality of opposition, got a draw with Loris Stecker, whom Fight Back fans will know is one of the better fighters in America, is from a top family over there. It's a good result. And had 2 fights with Jean-Marc Renault, the European champion. Went the distance and was disqualified. Admitted that he butted his opponent.
Round 2.
Second round then. A little bit of a searching start really for Najib Daho. And wondering what this the old boy is all about. I tell you, at 33 and keeping in shape, although he hasn't won too many of his last 20-odd fights, in fact, Sammy Meck. He's always been there making it difficult for those who think they can fight. I'm always saying about records, it's not so much of the win and lose, it's who they've been fighting that impresses me. And this fella's always been in good company. That's why he hasn't always had the best of the results, because they've always been technically away from home as far as he was concerned. He looks as though he's got some concentration going, Daho, knowing that Caldell's coming up. He can't afford to slip here, either with injury and certainly not defeat.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased to see that Daho is paying Meck some respect, because he is a good fighter. He's a lot better than his record suggests. And it's not an easy match. This is not a typical warm-up fight before a title fight comes up. This is quite a tough match for Daho, and I'm pleased to see he's taking it very seriously. I got a nice burst of punches from Daho just as I'm speaking. Not a lot of power, but a nice little burst of punches. But it's nice to see Daho's taking it serious, he's concentrating, and he's not making too many mistakes.
Well, there was one out of the blue. He's got to watch for that big swinging right-hander coming in. Not that he's known to be the biggest puncher in the world, but they all hurt, Jim, right?
Yeah, they certainly all hurt. I think if Daho can manage to keep Meck on his back foot, it'll probably take a bit of this thing out of his punches. But he's a very experienced opponent. He knows exactly what he's doing. He never gets flustered. He's always ready to come back with punches of his own. I don't see this being an easy fight for Daho tonight.
Right, step back.
Catching Meck cleanly seems to be part of the problem at the moment. Always got his hands up, rolling his head about. Oh, good little flash of punches then as we come up for the bell at the end of the second. Have another look at that then. As I say, he was concentrating, Daho. Then when he starts to flurry punches towards the end of the round, and you'll probably see those coming in. There they are, you see, right through the middle of the guard. That's the only way he can do it. And he's done that very well. Very impressed with that, actually. He's got to keep that up. So there's manager Jack Trickett giving him the benefit of his wisdom. But as they say, when the bell goes, you watch him get out the ring, Jim. Round 3, scheduled for 10 then, this junior lightweight. It's actually made at 9-7, 9-6 3/4, Daho, 9-4, Meck. The referee from Ashton-under-Lyme is Harry Warner. And as Jim Watt says, that when you bring an opponent in of Meck's class and experience, it's not exactly the easiest of warm-ups to go in with another experienced man like Pat Caldell for the championship. But there you are, Daho's been on the brink of it so many times, he's got to make it pay now, once and for all. If he can stop Meck, that would be a good performance, I tell you. You can't really expect that. But he's trying hard enough. You can see why he gets so many fights, Sammy Meck. He's sort of a promoter's reliable man, isn't he? He'll come in and give you all he's got. He doesn't care too much whether he gets a decision, as long as he gives you a good fight. Yeah, a typical old journeyman. He seems to have a longer reach than you would expect from a man his height. He's been catching Daho with a couple of right-hand leads over the top, and I'm surprised myself that the punches have landed. He seems to have a fairly long reach. But I think Daho should just be thinking of trying to build up a points lead in the early rounds here, and don't worry too much about trying to hurt Meck. Then all going well, maybe around about the 7th or 8th round, maybe move in there with the bigger punches, but he doesn't want to take too many chances against this man. minute to go in the third.
I don't hold, Dale.
And it's developing in quite a good little contest now. It's got punch for punch. And as I said, Daho seems to be drawn into good fights, always has in his career, very seldom has easy ones. And I sometimes suspect that's the way he likes it. Bit of a sloppy right hand there, Sammy Meck throws. He signals it and then he misses by a mile, but just the same, I imagine Daho's got to watch out for it. If he gets that much closer and a bit more accurate, it looks as though it could hurt. So there's the fact file, as it were, for Najib Daho. Only 27. It seems as though he's been around forever, the Casbah kid. As he was known, came to Manchester from Morocco at the age of 15 and become a bit of a local favourite round here. And it's the only fighter, actually, that tonight's promoter, Jack Trickett, there on the outside of the ropes, manages. And he's talking a good fight, old Jack, isn't he? If only a Najib would listen to him. So the rundown with Sammy Meck. Jean Bretonel, his manager, who's not in the corner tonight, is one of the legends in managing in France, with Jean-Claude Boutier and years ago Robert Villemain. Great fighters he managed.
Second down, round 4.
Round 4. Cleaner punching from Daho, I think. A lot of sort of scrapping and ordinary mixing up coming in from Meck. See, that was the right hand. I've been saying that he might be kidding a bit missing. Nobody deliberately misses him, but he threw that one properly after some of the other awkward shots he's thrown.
Yeah, well, he's been catching Daho with a couple of those right-hand leads. As I said earlier, he seems to have a longer reach than you expect, and a couple of these right-hand leads have landed bang on. Not an awful lot of power. Oh, got a good uppercut from Daho, yeah.
Stopped him in his tracks there. Well, the referee didn't do him any favours there, Jim. He was doing all right until he was interrupted by the referee. What a good performance this is. If he can turn it on here, Daho, it's a good performance to stop Sammy Meck. Well, he's got enough time left in the round to do it anyway. And that will stop Meck from rushing in square on as he did then. The uppercut really checked him in his tracks. So he's blooded around the nose, Sammy Meck, not surprisingly after that flurry of punches. With Daho really establishing a bit of authority then in round 4. Going in very quickly there, Harry Warner, and I didn't think they were hanging on enough, Jim, to call break, really.
Yeah, well, they were still throwing punches. I don't know why he decided to make them break, because they were still throwing punches. I think Daho must have done his confidence a little bit of good because he knows he has the power to upset Meck. Those were a couple of good right uppercuts he landed earlier on in this round. And he's had Meck on the defensive for most of the time since.
Yeah, it's a clear round, this one, for Daho. Only, yeah, the referee score counts, of course, no judges. So the countdown to the end of this round then, and the gun shield comes flying out there from Sammy Meck. just telling his trainer there, do you mind getting my gum shield, which in fact is dropped on Jim Watt's lap, and I do hope he doesn't make a comeback. So Meck was well in trouble there, and he needs a little bit of revival in the corner there. John Gaynor giving a hand as the English agent. Their border control always have to have that to represent. Let's have a second look at these punches coming in now. You see, he's waiting for him to come in, and bingo, right through the guard. What a good uppercut that was. And he did well to stand up, actually, Meck. And now he tries to bustle away inside, and that was where I thought the referee was a bit too quick. But it was good stuff from Najib Daho, this. He really had Meck under fire.
Second out. Round 5.
Round 5. And Daho from Manchester, ex-Morocco. Well on top now, Sami Meck from Paris, former Cameroons. I trod on his toe there as he went back. That's the only reason that happened. Trying to put extra power into his punch, and he's a saucy one, is Meck. You followed through with his elbow there, but referee Warner was onto that. Actually with his forearm, to be fair. He fights his way out of the pain barrier well, Sami Meck, Jimmy. Was it under fire, and he's coming back quite well, really.
He's come back well. Daho seems to have slightly lost the initiative at the beginning of this round. I think you'll have to start. This is better. Yeah, that's better from Daho now. You don't want to give this man too much room.
Oh, well, that's tit for tat there. A little bit of a shoulder going in. Throws a lot of leather, Meck, but not too many punches, actually. He sort of pushes them in sometimes, doesn't he? So the crowd's for Come On Naj, as they call him here, with a minute to go. And as I said earlier in the commentary, that if Daho can stop this fellow, it would be a really good result for him, especially going into, he hopes, the Caldell fight. It's been made, but there would be considerable embarrassment, wouldn't there, if he lost this one, or indeed was injured. He tried the uppercut again there, Daho. So wagging the crowd, as they always say, come on, Naj, we want to go home. Good job, Sami Meck doesn't understand much English. So the halfway stage then, and it's really warmed up into a hard fight. The boxers take a break, and so do we, but we'll be right back. Round 7, and not surprisingly, Sami Meck has given Daho all the trouble he can handle, and no knockdowns. And I wouldn't have thought that Daho's going to need much sparring practice if he comes through this one okay and then gets the shot at Pat Caldell's Super Featherweight Championship, because this has been a hard enough scrap. And his white trunks there, just these splashes of blood actually from Sami Meck's nose. But at 33, he's really still got plenty of fire, Sammy Meck. Kind of wind him up and he bounces in and out again. A bit of a rubber ball fighter. Barry McGuigan managed to catch up with him in the 6th round in 83. But Cowdell had to go 10 rounds with him. Daho spotted that right hand coming in there from Meck and just slipped out the way. It's good to see that because he'll need to do that with Pat Cowdell.
Daho's brightened up a little bit in this round, Reg. You see there's a little bit more distance between them now. Daho's snapping out the jab and giving himself a bit of room to follow through with right hands. This is what he has to do. He's been getting too tied up in the previous 2 rounds, getting too close to Meck. This is exactly what he should be doing. A little bit distance between them and nice sharp punches.
It was an interesting fight, Najib Daho, Jim, isn't he? You don't get too many fighters like that. He was actually giving your old mate Kenny Buchanan a good fight in London. I remember seeing that, but then he walked onto one of Ken's specials.
Yeah, well, Ken wasn't too bad either. Even at the time Daho boxed him, he was well past his best, but he hadn't forgotten too many of his tricks. I think it's good too that Daho still has the ambition to win titles. He's been in the game a long time, but he still has the attitude of a young kid. Plenty of enthusiasm. But this is better now. A little bit of range between them and a little bit of urgency about his work now.
He's only been down twice in his long career now, Daho. That's very commendable in any boxer's record.
See, Daho has the skill to land punches without taking anything in return, and he started in this round to use that skill.
So a good round this for Najib Daho. He dictated a lot more, straighter punches. As we come up to the belt. A little chat with everybody on his way back. Quite a character, isn't he, Sammy Meck? Especially when we asked him to explain why he was disqualified against Jean-Marc Renault, who's the European champion, and he admitted, he said, well, I happened to butt him, which was a pretty good reason to get disqualified. They're looking a bit quieter in the corner, I think, perhaps running out of words a bit, knowing, I think, that Daho's got it under control. Had trouble there staunching that nosebleed, but he's fought through a few of those in his time, I suspect.
Second down, round 8.
Round 8 down of the schedule, 10-rounder at lightweight. And the Manchester favourite, Najib Daho, is well on top, but he's always had to scuffle a bit to keep this fellow Meck under control. It's been a hard enough fight. They're not the hardest of punchers, actually, at the lightweight limit. Well, we've said before, Jim, I never like the term warm-up because there's no such thing. If you get an opponent in front of you, they're all a bit tricky, aren't they? So this has been a hard little warm-up, isn't it, for Daho?
Yeah, well, before the fight, I must say it's not an opponent I would have chosen for Daho. Thinking about the Cowdell fights already signed up, I wouldn't have picked such a physical opponent. I'd have picked maybe more of a boxer to sharpen Daho up. But it's working out fine because Daho's not taking too many punches, and he's got himself into a nice position, as I said. He's boxing well, he seems to be enjoying himself now, and I think a win over Meck will do his confidence a lot more good than against just a nobody. Because Meck is a well-respected opponent, should we say.
Well, that's as it should be. Matches as even as you can make them. It's very difficult sometimes for matchmakers. On paper they look good and they don't turn out that way, but this always looked as though it's going to be a long slog. So there you are. A few signs from the gentleman from Ashton under Lyme saying, when I say break, be a good boy and go back. I think Sammy Meck understands only what he wants to understand, Jim. He's always had it well under control, Jim, hasn't he, Daho? But I'm just wondering now, if it does go 10, what sort of margin Harry Warner, the referee, is going to give?
Well, Meck can't have won too many rounds. He's probably halved a few. But he's never managed to get on top at any time. He's certainly given Daho a few moments of worry, but he's never managed to sustain that at any time. I think it'll be a pretty clear victory for Daho, provided, of course, nothing goes tragically wrong between now and the end of the fight.
So he went back there, didn't he, Najib Daho, there, as if he was really enjoying himself there, and sat on the stall and just checking on which round is coming up as the young lady goes around the ring with the board, which is, of course, for the audience. There she is, and not for the boxers particularly. The referee, of course, has got his own tally of the rounds there as he makes his score. Harry Warner. Been around the fight game a long time, Harry Warner, as you can see, trying to get a bit of weight off while he's working, Jim. So he's answering the call then, is coming up for this next round. He's got it under control. And the promoter, manager and general factotum, Jack Trickett, saying, listen, you know, the championship's coming up, let's do this right.
Round 9.
Round 9. And I must say the Manchester crowd, although obviously rooting for their man, haven't seemed to have been on Sammy Meck's back at all, giving him every chance to do his little bit of work in there. I imagine that's because, rather like us at ringside, we can see that Daho is in control all the time. Maybe if he was a bit under fire, they might get the local favouritism going. Sammy Meck, as I say, didn't bring his veteran manager with him, but if you look at the record, Jimmy, you might say, well, how much does the loser get before he leaves home and come away like this, eh? Because he's always having to fight in somebody else's backyard.
Yeah, well, I don't think Meck is too worried about ambitions in his future career. I just think he likes to do what he's doing now. He's making his living in the fight game, quite enjoying himself. Probably decided it's better than digging ditches.
He's trying to measure him with a shot there, Daho. He's a bit obvious, but the crowd liked it. I'm not sure Meck did. I do admire, though, the way Sammy Meck just keeps going. I mean, he's been under fire quite a bit at times, but he keeps flailing away. They're almost automatic, his punches. Inside a minute, the ninth round, I should say. The last minute of the ninth. Saucy uppercut there from Meck, coming in the left hand to remind Daho that he's still got a round and a bit to go.
Most of Daho's problems come when he allows Meck to come forward. I think Daho would be better advised to stand his ground and try to push Meck back.
So this is, I say, that point where Daho tried to measure Meck, and you can see him there saying, well, when I get you in my sights right, and there it is now. He's looking at him and saying, here it comes, and there it is, you see. Then he throws that good flurry of punches there.
Second down, 10th and final round.
10th and final round then. So Najib Daho got 3 minutes to survive, as they say, of a contest that we've got him well winning. And a bit of chanting, Daho, Daho. Popular tune in its time, wasn't it, that one? I never thought it would happen to a fighter. But Sammy Meck from the Cameroons via France has really put up a good show here. There's no doubt about that. He's had a go, and at 33, as Jim Watt said, he's still got plenty of spark there. Never an easy fight for Daho. Always one that you'd fancy him to win, obviously. And he's been able to fight himself into shape now, getting ready for Pat Cowdell. So there you are, leads with the right hand, gets away with it at times, Sammy Meck. And no doubt Mr. Cowdell, the old general himself, has noted that one as he's looking in. He's having a go in the last round, isn't he, Sammy Meck? He knows he's nearer getting home time now, and he can let his punches go. He really is a little durable customer, this. And you can understand now how Sammy Meck stayed the full 10 rounds with Pat Cowdell. Minute to go. Oh, and a good right hand now. He'll do well to try and get Meck on the deck in the last minute. And he's got to face a 12-round championship fight. He's come out a little bit blooded and bruised down the next Daho. It's a good finish for him, though. He's boxing well in the last. Never had to go looking for Sammy Meck at any time. He's always been standing right on his toes, practically, waiting for him. It's a good, competent performance by Daho, Jim.
Yeah, it's a good performance. He's always been in charge, if you like. Some anxious moments, but he's always kept his own chin out of harm's way. And whenever he's seen any target, he's let some nice punches go. It's a good performance, a nice clear points win. And I only hope he hasn't banged his knuckles up.
So there it is then, the formality almost then for Najib Daho. And now knows the title chance is well on its way now. And there's got plenty of words left as well. So there he is, milking the applause a little bit, the good loser. He's used to doing that. And he deserves it too. And full marks to the crowd for giving him all the encouragement he needs. And he's saying, well, the interpretation would be good luck in your next fight. I fought Pat Cowdell, he's not easy.
Najib, that was a very comfortable win, but surely Pat Caldell's going to be a lot different.
Yes, I needed that fight just for warm-up, really. I can move with him. But with Caldell, he's a different person, which is I know how to handle Caldell.
How?
How is private. I don't want it to go far. But believe me, Manchester will have championships by the end of this month.
Najib, it's easy for you to say that in the euphoria of that win, but a lot of people are saying there's a big gulf in class between you and Pat Caldell.
I know the difference between me and him. I have more fight than Caldell. I respect him. I like the guy. I spend a week with him. I have a lot of respect for him. But believe me, I have to win. There's all people behind me, all family. I have to win. I got no choice. But believe me, I like him and I respect him. He's a good champion. But I have to win.